Hello, everyone. So let's get started. For years, you've been told that this is your video. And while the format, length, and medium for videos has certainly evolved, the emphasis is no less true. Brands need to create video content today, particularly those in retail marketing who are trying to help prospects visualize themselves as customers. But how can you possibly create enough great video content to keep your social media calendar full and your prospects clamoring to learn more? That's what we're covering in today's episode of The Martech Show.
The past is gone. Now is the future.
This is The Martech Show, exploring today's marketing technology solutions. Social media, artificial intelligence, augmented reality,
Now is the future.
content, SEO, email, analytics, listening, advertising, and more. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and I'm joined by agency owner and technology futurist Robin Diamond. Each episode explores the latest developments in marketing technology and shares new solutions and innovative approaches that you need to know about to grow your business today. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to the Martech Show, where Robin and I get to dish on what's shiny and new in the Martech space and then do a deep dive into a specific platform or solution that can help you and your business today. I'm afraid Robin had an emergency come up, so she couldn't join us today, but she'll be back for us in episode 3 with Active Campaign. Now, meanwhile, there's a developing story that comes to us from Wired regarding Meta and AI generated images. Have you heard about this? Facebook, Instagram, and Threads are working to automatically detect whether an image you posted to one of the apps was AI generated, and if so, it'll automatically include a warning label to inform people of its artificial origins. Now, at this point, it seems limited to companies who are willing to work with Meta and provide crucial signals needed to identify where an image came from. And of course, the purpose of the development isn't to hamper legitimate marketers, but rather tamp down on the prevalence of deep fakes and other harmful images that are spreading rapidly. And yet, there'll definitely be an impact on our marketing efforts if we're relying on AI to help us create imagery. And all of a sudden, our audience starts seeing warning labels on those posts and images. What do you think? Would seeing a warning label on an image impact your perception of that post or the brand? Will this change how you approach creating imagery for social media? Let us know in the comments. I also want to share that Agorapulse has recently released a new feature called Advocacy. That's really amazing. It allows users to create lists of advocates, whether those are internal employees or external influencers, and create campaigns for those advocates. You can select which list or segments of the list you want to invite to participate in the campaign, give them a link to share, some suggested copy, even multiple options of copy. And then once you run the campaign, you can see a full report of who opened and looked at the campaign, who shared it, who drove clicks, activity, and who your top advocate was. If you're interested, you can learn more at agorapulse.com. Awesome. So let's get into today's topic of using AI to create video for social media, because let's face it, creating video, really great video, isn't easy. Yeah, we all have fantastic video cameras in our pockets these days, but that doesn't mean an off the cuff shot is what will move the needle for our business. Sometimes what we need to communicate with a video and on social media in particular is different. Imagine you're a retail brand and you want to create a lot of videos about all of your various products to share to Instagram Reels, or an agency who's working with several retail brands and has a multiplier effect on video demand. Where do we start? And how do we scale up without losing quality? That's exactly what Mark Gouth is going to talk to us about. Mark's an industry thought leader who's expertly guiding marketing professionals towards achieving success in the fast-paced world of AI video. As the head of business development at Pictory, a leading AI video company, Mark's responsible for driving strategic partnerships and expanding the company's presence in the market, and his dedication to driving innovation and excellence in the field of AI video creation has solidified his reputation as a dynamic and influential leader. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me. Always good to chat and talk about all things video. So excited to be here.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. We've done some fantastic things in the past. I will never forget the dinner we hosted in Seattle. That was a blast. But for those who aren't familiar with you and Pictory, Can you tell them, particularly social media community managers, what Pictory does for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So Pictory at its core is a AI video creation tool. So that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending upon how familiar you are or aren't with AI. Our flavor of AI is helping people, social media managers, community managers, take the existing content that they have for the brand that they work for, the organization, etc., and turn that into short form video quickly and easily with AI. So it's not the idea of Midjourney or Dolly or anything like that, where it's creating something net new out of a prompt. This is basically taking a script, a piece of content copy that you've written, and turning that into a video. Taking a blog post that maybe has performed historically well, and now turning that into a video. Taking a webinar, a podcast that maybe someone in your leadership team has done, and repurposing that and cutting it down into short snippets to use to fill up your content calendar, right? So the idea is helping people get past that blinking cursor effect where you're kind of like, all right, what am I going to create today? Well, you're probably sitting on a gold mine of content. So how do you repurpose that content into videos that you can now use on social? So that's really the crux behind it all.
And I would imagine that it's also good for folks who may not want to appear on camera. Would you agree?
Yeah, thanks for lobbing that softball up. Absolutely. Faceless video is a big component to what we see from our users. And when I say faceless video, it's basically just scenes with background voice. So whether it's your own voice, maybe an AI voiceover, we've recently integrated with 11 Labs, to give you those human-like sounding voices, and then the text appears on screen, but there's no face on screen. It's just a series of images or shorter videos that are stitched together. Very popular for like product release videos. Very popular for those types of things. Explainer videos, listicle type videos. So the top 10 places in the world to visit. Think about those types of videos, right? That are created. So faceless videos are a huge aspect to what our users are creating.
Yeah, and Autumn agrees. She said so many of her clients hate being on video, and you've also got issues where maybe you don't necessarily have great lighting or a great camera, or maybe you don't necessarily want or need to be the face of the company in these videos, but you don't necessarily have somebody else who can step up and be that person. So that's fantastic. Now, my next question for you though is, what are some of the challenges besides the ones we just mentioned that you see facing social media managers today, particularly with video?
Yeah, I think I think back to my trip to Social Media Marketing World last year, and some of the conversations that I had with a lot of social media marketers or community managers, as it were. And the overwhelming majority of them mentioned, I'm a single person. I work for a company that has multiple social outlets, and I'm tasked with managing the content across multiple channels. So thinking about how daunting that can be, even when you have a tool like Agorapulse that helps you organize all of that stuff, it can really be daunting to try to figure out what you're going to share. I think the big thing that I hear from social media managers, social media marketers, community managers is it helps me create video without having to be a professional video editor. Things like Premiere, Final Cut, those things, they've been around for a long time, but they're very daunting. I've done a lot of video editing in my life, and I still get overwhelmed when I log into them. And I'm not even like a professionally trained video editor. So if you're thinking about somebody that is tasked with trying to stay top of mind and keep the content fresh that they're sharing, video can help do that. But if you don't have the chops to edit video in the traditional video editors, it's very difficult to do that, and often very daunting. So, I think what Pictory does from a benefits perspective with this community that we're speaking about is it gives them the ability to create video without having to feel overwhelmed or scared about creating video and not knowing how to do it with these traditional timeline based editors, etc. So it's very user friendly. We have a UX that's designed to be intuitive, and it just makes creating videos really easily. And then if you throw in our new brand kit experience that we just launched, being able to create multiple brands and manage multiple brands under one account, now it's even easier to do that. So I think that's kind of the big kind of benefit for this community.
I think that's huge. I mean, I've been using tools of various kinds for years, and I still find the entire Adobe suite of products to be overwhelming. So I use iMovie for editing videos. And so I know that's super, super basic. I can clip, I can add a little bit of music, and that's about the extent of what I can do with iMovie. But then again, I understand it. And it's not taking me much time. And to your point, if I want to make my videos look professional, using a tool like Pictory is great. And I appreciate the shout out of Agorapulse, because you're right. You can, as a retail manager, have a number of different product videos already created with Pictory. You can store them in a content library on a suite like Agorapulse and have those queued up and ready to go out whenever you want to share new social media posts with video. But we've been talking
Yep.
around this question that I have, which is that we're talking about video, but you also were talking about AI and how that helps create that video. So how is AI video different from just regular video creation?
Yeah, and that's a very deep question to which we can go very, very deep, but I'll try to keep it surface level right now. There's as I mentioned at the top, there's a lot of different flavors of AI video creation. There's this kind of futuristic element, which is create a video of Mark playing golf on the moon, and you could do something like that with something like Midjourney or DALL-E or anything like that. And, it creates more of a cartoon-esque, look and feel to that video. So that's one element to it. The element that we're talking about with AI created video is, if you think about like watching a traditional video, like let's think about like even an ad on the Super Bowl's coming up, right? There's probably a lot of stock videos that are used as part of those Super Bowl ads. With the AI technologies that are now being used, and the AI technology being used in Pictory, we make it really easy to take a script. So think about the script that you would write for a video. You've got maybe the actor or actress is going to say in each scene, and then you have the description of what the background is going to look like. So we basically take the idea of what that background is going to look like, and we take that text and we match it to the stock image and stock visual library that we have, which is over 12 million stock videos and stock images. So just think about the time that it would take to find the right image for one scene, let alone 12 scenes that you might have in a video. So the AI piece really takes that time that it would take hours, sometimes depending upon the length of the video, and shortens it down to sometimes a few minutes or even a few seconds, depending upon the length of the video. So our AI is basically helping you match the text that's in your script to the stock image and stock visual library that we have as part of Pictory, and doing that within a matter of seconds. So that's where the AI magic comes in on the script to video. On the video editing side, if you upload, so I use Pictory for my my podcast. I'll record my podcast. I just use Zoom. I put it into Pictory. It transcribes the podcast, and then from there, I can simply ask our AI to give me the best 3 minutes. So I can create a short little, highlight reel of that longer form video and post that to LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever I'm ultimately end up sharing that. And I can then say, if you're interested in watching the full episode or listening to the full episode and driving people back to the place that I want them to ultimately land on. So it's no different if you're, a social media manager, community manager. You can take something that's long form, quickly turn it into a short form video, and then have like a call to action to say, if you like what you heard or like what you watched, here's a link to the full episode, and get people back to your website, get them back to your property where they're going to be able to buy or subscribe or do whatever you want that consumer to do.
That's brilliant. I particularly love the scripting benefit, because a lot of you folks watching right now, you may not have worked with a professional videographer or an agency that's used to building professional video. So you may not know what goes into what we might think of as a really great looking video. And as amateurs, we wouldn't know why. But one of the things that they're going to do if they come on site to film you is they're going to create a bunch of B-roll. So they might record you saying script to the camera, but they're also going to record you working on your laptop or talking to a customer, doing something like that, which if we don't have that professional film crew, we don't have that available to us. So if I wanted to do a commercial about the advocacy tool, it's just me talking to the camera. But with Pictory, apparently, if I'm understanding you correctly, Bart, correct me if I'm wrong, I could load up the script, and Pictory will help me locate stock video or create stock video that would fill in. So I could talk about advocacy, but then all of a sudden cut to a video clip that I didn't have to film of, employees looking at their cell phone and sharing to social media, doing something like that, and make it really feel like an immersive professional video while my script, my voice overlay continues throughout the video. Did I say that right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. So yeah, you upload you could sit down and record yourself. And actually the teaser video, or the video that I created for this episode to promote the episode of the show that I'm doing, I just recorded it sitting in front of my computer. And then I went into Pictory and added a bumper, an intro and outro. I added the logo in the top right corner, the Martech logo that Mike shared with me. I was able to apply a background track and actually have the AI apply a background track based off of the text. So it kind of picked up like, oh, this is more like of a promotional video. So we're going to pick something that is more specific to, like a promotional type of background track that you would hear on a video. So I was able to do all of that in a matter of seconds, and just kind of, you might say like top and tail, or just kind of finalize the video. And I was able to do that in a matter of seconds. So yes, you're absolutely right. I could have added in some stock imagery as well if I wanted to. Thankfully, it was only a minute long, so I didn't need a lot of that. But if you wanted to create a more dynamic video, now you're able to do that, and the AI will find those images for you and suggest them to you for each individual scene.
Awesome. If you are just tuning in, we're talking with Mark about how AI can help you with your video creation and production. We'll get back to Mark in a moment, but first I want to share with you how an incredibly fun retail brand, Lovepop, is using Agorapulse.
Lovepop Cards is a 3D greeting card company, and we are about 5 years old, and we are based in the idea of creating magical moments. And so our company's mission is to create 1 billion magical moments. So I am the Director of Customer Happiness, which means I'm responsible for sort of being the voice of Lovepop to our customers, and then also being the voice of our customers within Lovepop. So it goes in both directions. So before we transitioned to Agorapulse, one of the things that was really difficult for us was that we had a high volume of ads where customers were commenting and wanted to interact with us or wanted to tell us what they thought of the products they're advertising. And we had a limited number of licenses for our social media monitoring tool. And so we were unable to keep up with the inbox, and the inbox was actually unable to keep up with the volume of ads we were running. And so we both weren't getting all the comments that were being added to all these ads, and we couldn't reply to what we were getting anyway. So when we moved over to Agorapulse and we got to the point where we had an inbox that captured direct messages, it captured the listening, and we were able to pull in the ad comments in the same place. We could use it just like we would use any other inbox, like in our ticketing system. It's really changed our ability to follow up with customers and make sure we're being responsive and interacting with them when they want it. Also, a little hidden feature that I love is that you can see the history of any customer's comments with us. So sometimes we'll get a comment and we're not exactly sure either if they were talking to us earlier or if this is somebody who has been giving us a hard time for a while. And you can just click on them and see their profile and get an idea for how they've interacted with us over time.
All right, so that was an expensive professionally created video. Let's get back to creating video using Pictory and leveraging AI. Mark, what kinds of videos are you seeing perform best on social media today, whether that's the format or the content of the videos or something else?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, maybe a little bit of a surprise. Excuse me, I stumbled over my words there. Is people creating or using AI to create a video like of the About Us page for their brand. So you think about the importance of humanizing your brand, especially in today's fast-paced world and people wanting to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. Creating more of a visually appealing experience to that, even if it's just still images, is something that works really, really well. So what we're seeing is people leverage Pictory, put in the URL for their About Us page, and then turn that About Us page into a video. So, if it's like the About Us team, maybe it's the Agorapulse team and there's pictures, of Mike and the rest of the team, on there. They're able to pull in those images from that article as well as the text from that article, and quickly and easily they can turn that into a more social worthy piece of content to say, if you haven't met our team before, here they are. And now it becomes something that's really, really easy to create, that the social manager, the community manager can now say, hey, here's our team. Hey, we just hired this new person, and plug that in. And you can do that quickly and easily. Whereas previously, if you wanted to create something like that, you probably would have hired an outside agency. Every time you add a new person, you're going to have to go back to them with a change request and do all of that. But with something like Pictory, you could simply plug in the URL for the About Us page. We pull all of that information in, and we give you the ability to just simply interact with the text and pick what you want to have as your script for the video, but also pull in all of the relevant images from that. So that's one that we've seen, that works really well as of late, which I think was a really, really interesting use case.
I think that's fascinating. And there's a couple things that I pulled out of that. The first is that it is something that a social media manager or a community manager could easily do themselves without having to lean on an internal resource or somehow find budget for an external resource, which we all know that's going to be a challenge, right? But the second thing that you touched on that I thought was really smart, you talked about having to go back to the agency for updates. Now, if we're talking about our About page, we're talking about new products that are rolling out, these are kinds of things that change all the time.
Yeah.
And if we've invested a lot of money in video, like we have here at Agorapulse over the past years, there's videos from a couple of years ago that we now can't use anymore because they're dated for whatever reason. And if I'm using a tool like Pictory to generate that video today, it's a piece of cake to come back in a month or 6 months and just recreate it. There's been a major update to the About, or there's a new product or a change of the product, whatever the case might be, we can use a tool like Pictory to recreate that video really easily, it sounds like.
Yeah, and when you create that video, any of those assets that it pulls in, it's going to save to your uploads folder. So those are all going to be there already for a future video that you create. So really, then it just becomes as simple as almost creating a new scene, plugging in the new information if you wanted to do that, swapping different things out. So yeah, the ability now to iterate on previous videos is so much easier than what it would have been previously. So I think it just opens up a lot of opportunities for, again, going back to my very first answer, it allows people to create videos if you're not a video creator or a video editor.
It's like Guy Kawasaki would call it the democratization of video.
Yep.
Right. That's how he was talking about imagery a while back. So, what are some general tips or some best practices that you can share? I mean, we're talking to social media managers and community managers who likely don't have any kind of professional training or experience creating video. What should they be thinking about?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's you probably already know what types of content resonate with your audience. And when I say what types of content, I mean the messaging. I know with tools like Agorapulse, there is the ability to see and get, data around what posts and what content, right, is performing the best. So if you have a piece of written content that's performing really, really well, why not turn that into a video that then you can repurpose and share, because you've already gotten traction out of it as a written piece. So now you can turn it into something that's more visual and breathe new life into that existing content is really kind of the idea behind it. So, I think first and foremost, it's starting with what has done well historically. So if you can figure that stuff out, and if you have access to, your reporting inside your Agorapulse panel, you can probably find that stuff really, really easily. And then you can simply turn that stuff into video with your own images or with stock images or with, some combination of both. Or if it's a page on your website, maybe, Mike, you mentioned a lot of video that you guys have created over the years. Maybe it's a video of Daryl that was interviewed, and it did really, really well. And there was, a lot of comments on it, and people really liked what he had to say. Well, take that video and cut it down into a lot of small chunks, into the mic drop moments, as I like to call them. So, you drop a, piece of just amazing knowledge sharing that you wanted to have. You can clip that out really, really easy with just simply by highlighting the text, and now taking something that would have been a 30-minute share. Oh, check out this interview we did with Daryl or Mike or whoever. Now you can say, just check out this one time where Mike mentioned the power of social media sharing, and it's literally just that 30-second clip, right? So it's all about using the data that you have. One of the things that we believe here at Pictory, when we make decisions, it's using data over opinions to make those decisions. So tapping into that sort of experience, using that data to determine what content you should repurpose into a video. And now with a tool like Pictory, you can do it really, really quickly with much more frequency and not have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for each for each video you create. It might be more like $2 or $3 for each video you create. So that would kind of be my feedback for them to get started.
Something you said that I just want to underline, and I want all of you who are watching to really hear me on this. You need to spend time regularly looking back at how your past posts have performed and reshare the posts that performed the best. You can do like Mark talked about and take a text post and turn it into a video post. You can take a text post and repost it exactly as you posted it a month ago, 6 months ago. It will perform great. Again, you do that over and over again because you have new audience members coming in. You've got people who did not see it before. We're only reaching a fraction of our audiences with every single social post. Don't be afraid to reshare or repurpose that old content. It's a treasure trove of great stuff. So lean on that, lean on the data-driven decision making that Mark mentioned. But Mark, I want to touch on a topic that I don't know if it's in the back of the minds of the people watching and listening on the podcast when we release the podcast or not, but it's on my mind. What are some of the ethical concerns around using AI for video creation, particularly today?
Yeah, I think when people think about AI, right or wrong, they think about ChatGPT, and they think about large language models and all of the content that they upload to those being shared for anyone else to use to create something new in the future through prompts. And I think that is going to continue to be something that's top of mind for folks, right? When you think about video too, if I upload a video that has, someone from my company sharing something, obviously it's going to be public knowledge, but you don't want other people having access to that content, right? You want that to live within your own instance of whatever tool you end up using. So, I think those are things that we are thinking about as a company from an ethical perspective is how do we continue to train our AI models to get really, really good at pulling out the right snippets, the right pieces of the transcript if you're doing a long form to a short form video, and then how do we find and match the images to the text, et cetera. But we're not using customers' data to put back into our system and give other customers the ability to use that for their video project. We're just taking signals from the finished product to train our AI on what makes a good summarized video or what matches that text to the image. So I think those are things that as a video creator or as somebody that's creating video for a brand, you should think about it when you're choosing, a product or a tool. Is it's not just about, well, what is this, what does this give me the ability to do? It's what does this mean for my company if I'm putting this information into this, platform? So even thinking about something like Midjourney, if you have a login, as a company of Apple, and all of a sudden you're playing around with a tool to say, create something that might be a little bit, maybe not in line with the Apple brand, right? That now is going to be attributed to Apple as the company putting those prompts into this platform. Even if you're, testing it out, creating things with it. So, I would just say, caution you to say, just be a good steward with the tools that you're using and making sure that the way that they are using your data is in line with your company's policies. So, we try to make sure that that is something that we lead with, that we're not introducing your content into our pool to say, hey, this customer created this video. Do you want to just, use the same video? There's nothing like that that's going on. We're just using certain flags and certain, instances that say this was a successful video. So these are the sentences that this person pulled out from this video to say, I want to create a video like this. So we're only using the essentially the elements that help us train the AI to help you better find pieces within your own video or within your own text to match to images. So I know I talked about a lot there, but really just making sure that you understand what that company is doing with your data when you leverage that tool.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's why a lot of people will recommend when you're using a tool like ChatGPT or one of the other similar large language models that you're not ever inputting sensitive proprietary company information, because those kinds of tools don't know any better and they will save that information and potentially regurgitate it to somebody else. So we've got to be careful. We've got to be ethical about how we're using the tools. We have to take some ownership of that personally. But let's talk about Pictory in the rest of this year. What's coming up in 2024? What's on the roadmap for Pictory? And if you want to add on to that, where do you see AI video creation going? I want you to be Nostradamus for us, because stuff's moving really, really fast, and by tomorrow, this will be instantly converted into 16 languages with me being fluent in all the world's cultures, because that's where we're headed, it feels like. But what do you think?
Yeah. So as far as where Pictory is headed, I can address that first. So we've already launched something really, really cool this year. Actually, it was last week. We launched our Pictory GPT for videos. So, now you can get started with a prompt on GPT. If you're a Chat GPT subscriber, you have access to our GPT, and then it basically plugs that directly into Pictory, and it will allow you to take that script and then turn that script into a video. So we're always looking for new companies that we can partner with, and we have some other companies that we're working on partnering with just to make the process even more seamless and user friendly. Looking at ways that we can build in layers. So as you see here on screen, you've got Mark Goeth, Pictory.ai. You've got my kind of lower third, as they call it here in the in the video world. So we're working on giving customers the ability to add things like this into their videos as well, and that's something that's coming here in Q1. As we look further out, I've mentioned this idea of our AI image matching, finding stock images and stock videos that match your text, while we're also working out how do we give customers the ability to have their own images automatically chosen as part of that as well. So instead of you having to manually select the image, now the AI would automatically select a mix of stock images to your own images to create a more dynamic video. So some things like that. There's a lot of other things that we have right now, proofs of concept that we're working on that are just going to make people's lives a lot easier. And it's all about the repurposing of that existing content into videos. So some stuff that I can't really share yet, but you'll definitely want to make sure that you follow along, follow us on social. I see Liz, our community manager, here in the chat as well. So you'll probably see her if you're part of any of our online communities or follow us on Facebook or any of that stuff. So she'll be sharing a lot of that. As far as where AI video is going, man, that's a $1 million question, right? I think AI video is going to continue to evolve in a way that keeps people engaged on where this is going. Like, there's a lot of new bright shiny things that are going on, and I keep mentioning Midjourney and DALL-E and things of that nature, where people want to create those. They just want to give it a prompt and then spit it out and see what happens, and I think that's really, really cool, and it's kind of helping to elevate all of the other companies in this AI video space, because people are constantly trying to see what's happening and what's going on. But ultimately, I think the thing that's going to win out is the companies that can help people start with something and turn that into a video. What that something is, that remains to be seen. And I think it'll be, continuously kind of a race to see who adds new features and new functionality. And, can I turn a MySpace post into a video, whatever it ends up being, right? So how do we help people continuously take things that they've already created, that they've already put their blood, sweat, and tears into, their money into, and now quickly and easily turn that into something else that can be repurposed and turned into more of an omni-channel approach. So, I think that's really the idea of where AI video is going, at least in the near future. But I'm really excited to see what happens long term with all of this stuff, and just how some of these companies continue to iterate.
Appreciate that, Mark. And I love putting my friends like you on the spot and asking you what's on the roadmap, knowing that you're going to make your product manager back home squirm, because they don't like sharing anything until it's tested, out of beta, and ready for production. But we've got this great question from Daniel O'Donohue that I'll read. He says, I'd be interested to know how Pictory fits into the wider MarTech ecosystem in content creation. I work for a DAM, a digital asset management platform, and I'd be interested to know how people feed Pictory with content. Where is it typically stored? Does it sync with storage platforms like SharePoint or Google Drive?
Yeah, great questions, Daniel. So as far as like where we sit within the entire, MarTech ecosystem, I would say we sit really within, more of the content marketer, I guess, and that's a pretty broad brush there as well. But I've talked a lot about this idea of stock images and stock videos, and obviously there's a handful of players out there that we all know that exist. Getty, Shutterstock, Pexels, the Storyblocks, So, those are kind of all the same, and they've been that way. They've been out there for years and years. But you're absolutely right. Like, there's a lot of companies that have their own content that might have thousands of images and thousands of visual assets that they want to use as part of it. So one of the things that we're working on through our API is how can we partner with digital asset management platforms to give their users the ability to then take a script and automatically go through their assets, find the relevant assets out of that library of thousands, millions, depending upon who you are, and pull out the right images, because it can be, a daunting task. So that's one of the things we're working on right now, is how do we make that a much more seamless process for larger organizations that have, large dams that they work with. And then how do we integrate with things like Google Drive and SharePoint? We're working on finalizing a Zapier plugin, so you could connect your Google Drive account directly to Pictory, and then pull that information in directly from there, whether it be your videos or your own assets. Likewise with SharePoint, etc. So leveraging our relationship with Zapier to help make those things a reality a lot quicker. So those are some of the different things that we're working on as well. But I'd love to chat with you or anyone at your team about how we could potentially work together to make that a reality for your customers. Leveraging an AI technology like ours, being that we have a public-facing API and something that that you guys could leverage for your customers.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I want to thank you, Mark, because this has been such an insightful period of time. I know people have been, blowing up the comments and really fascinated with everything you've been saying. If they want to learn more about you and about Pictory, where can they connect? Where can they go?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is pictory.ai. I think someone threw it in the chat. Deb threw it in the chat earlier. So you can go there. That'll have links to all of our various social platforms, etc. If you're interested in connecting with me, you can always shoot me an email. It's pretty easy. It's just my first name, mark@pictory.ai. Happy to chat with you. As far as social, it's probably just best to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where most of my time goes. So you can find me there, just searching my name. I think I'm the only one with my name on LinkedIn. So it's a unique name, which makes it easy for me to stand out. So probably the best way for to connect with me there. But Liz, if you have anything, you're in the chat, if you want to post any of the social places for people to connect with Pictory, feel free to do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. That's all we've got for today, friends. Don't forget to join the after show discussion with the Social Pulse community on Facebook, where you can learn more from today's guest, Mark, and continue the conversation with other attendees and even win some prizes. And next week, I'm going to be joined by the amazing Jessica Williamson from BigCommerce to help us learn ways to power up our e-commerce marketing. So be sure to join us. The links to everything mentioned today are in the comments and in the show notes. Until next time, see ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Martech Show, hosted by Robin Diamond and Mike Alton, powered by Agorapulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you want to make sure you're part of our audience during live weekly broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar, or click the subscribe button in your email once you register for any of these events. Is there a particular tool or topic you'd like to see us talk about? Or perhaps you think your solution should be featured? Email me at mike@agorapulse.com.